Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange and the host who might be Old Man Winter. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. It is Poetry Thursday, so I wanted to talk about some poetry that I found. And since we're almost in winter. It's not quite, but, I consider December the start of winter, even though it doesn't really start until December 21st. But we are in winter, unless you are in the southern hemisphere, in which case it is summer now. Lucky for them. I like winter personally, so I don't mind the cold. Growing up in Iowa, I just got used to it. Although there are some times where it's so cold, I'm just like, no thanks. But I digress. I wanted to talk about a more wintry type poem. And it's I found one that is about snowmen and whether or not they are alive or dead, using metaphors or something like that. I am talking about The Snowman by Michael D. Riley. For those that don't know, and that might include me, Michael D. Riley is or was a poet they started in the 1980s, I think. There's not a lot of information about Michael Riley out there. One of those lesser known poets that don't really have a lot of praise thrown at them. I tried to find some information, and all I could find was that Michael Riley taught in higher education, and they published poems in books and in literary journals. The poem that I'm going to be talking about, "The Snowman," comes from the December 1992 edition of a poetry magazine. So published there. I think Michael D. Riley might have died recently. I found a couple of obituaries for that mention that, but I don't know if that was the poet or it was the actual person. Or it was a different person entirely. So, a bit confusing. And sometimes that we stumble upon poetry from sources we don't really know, and I think that's one of those cases. So without further ado, let's talk about The Snowman. I will read the poem and do a little analysis and move on from there. The Snowman. He seems well suited to this place. Still and severe, he is all attention to the hard facts, the inflexible case. The rigors of a world of frost, new snow slants against his back, restoring what he has lost, to time's runes and scars. Each day he shoulders down with woe, contracts beneath her signatures. At night his crystals lean and lock, intent beside the empty road, he overhears our dreaming block talk in its sleep of June, a green intention left for dead one November afternoon. We attend him one by one, for his counsel hardens privately. He understands the silences of bone. Some say in ecstasy he hears cold comfort coming down. Some say he feels the trade winds lifting near. Yet he always to silence he returns, the shape of cold and death and naught, his wordless crucifixion by the storm, whose traces fly and drift in everywhere, thickening evidence, too icy to the touch, to bear, until we satisfy the soul, to say nothing of the heart. With dead twigs, more silence, 2 lumps of coal. In terms of analysis, there's a few, maybe 2 things I want to talk about here. The first is the imagery that Michael D. Riley uses, and it's really wonderful, beautiful imagery. First he says, in the second verse, the rigors of a world of frost. And I like that idea. You're in a winter wonderland. Maybe not wonderful because it's a world of frost, but it is a very winterish place. And there may be no memories of summer in this place. At night his crystals lean and lock, intent beside the empty road. So like this person made of snow, the snowman, is just sitting, by an empty road. No one but them in the darkness, perhaps. I like the phrase restoring what he has lost to time's ruins and scars. So like as you know, like that when during the day a snowman might melt, but once it starts to snow, the snow comes down, and what the snowman lost, like whether it be part of its head or its body, like it's coming back, and so the snowman may melt, but eventually it builds up again, and it restores itself, but perhaps not always. The snowman, isn't going to restore itself forever as winter eventually ends. Another thing I really like is how Michael D. Riley describes the snowman as both alive and dead simultaneously. There are a couple of verses here that show that. Each day he shoulders down with woe, contracts beneath her signatures. We attend him one by one, for his counsel hardens privately. He understands the silences of bone. And it sounds like people go up to the snowman, and like he is an active participant in the neighborhood, and the snowman might be alive. It reminds me of the movie Jack Frost, where the snowman, the snowman comes back to life, and it's not the horror movie version. It's the Michael Keaton version, where the snowman comes back to life and helps the child with his rough life after his father dies. So it seems like the snowman is alive and helps people out, or is just a member of this community in some sort of way. But Michael D. Riley counters that by also incorporating verses where it seems like the snowman is not alive, that the snowman is actually dead. One verse that shows that is here. Yet always to silence he returns, the shape of cold and death and not his wordless crucifixion by the storm. Which I really like that line right there. Wordless crucifixion. The snowman isn't talking. And when we think of crucifixion, we think of like Jesus who died on the cross. And so the snowman is dead, twigs sticking out of their arm, not really moving around, and possibly never really alive. And then another verse that I really feel gets at that is the final verse. Until we satisfy the soul, to say nothing of the heart. With dead twigs, more silence, 2 lumps of coal. And so the snowman is full of silence, not actually talking, just there. It's a combination of snow, not alive, dead twigs, also not alive, more silence, and 2 lumps of coal. Like there's nothing on the snowman that has ever really been alive. Except for the twigs, but that was part of a tree once, and you can't really say the tree is alive, although it is living. So all the parts of the snowman are dead, and so there's no way for the snowman to be alive. It's just a feature of this winter world of frost, and I really like how Michael D. Riley does that. The snowman is a feature of this community. And it might seem like alive, but ultimately it's dead. There's no indicator that the snowman is breathing or anything like that. Kind of comparing how at times winter may seem like a lively place, and other times winter may seem like a dead place where nothing can thrive, and it's just cold and icy. So different vibes there. And so that was The Snowman by Michael D. Riley, a pretty simple poem, but one that I like because of how it shows like how you can portray a snowman as both alive and also just dead. Pretty wonderful, and I really like how the imagery that Michael D. Riley uses as well. I'd recommend that you find it. I'll put a link to it in the description so that you can read it. Make sure you comment below what you think of the poem, what you think of my review. I'd love to hear from you and have a discussion about this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that we can get Poetry Thursday out to the masses, and we can talk more about wonderful poetry like this. And in the meantime, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and wintry travels. Farewell.